Likewise as it was also in the days of Lot. They ate, they drank, they bought, they sold, they planted, they built. But on the day that Lot went out of Sodom, it rained fire and brimstone from heaven and destroyed them all. Wicked men were punished by the Lord in a divine judgment of fire. The intense heat consumed the wicked cities and their inhabitants. But Lot's wife looked back toward her beloved Sodom, violating the angel's command, and was thus turned into a pillar of salt. Turning the cities of Sodom and Gomorrah into ashes, condemned them to destruction, making them an example of those who afterward would live ungodly. This is a visible example that is mentioned here. The Bible tells us the cities were in the plain of Jordan, which is the area surrounding the Dead Sea, and it was once a beautiful, lush area. At 1,300 feet below sea level, this is the lowest place on earth, a very hot and desolate region that was cursed by God because of the sins of the people. Sodom had pride, fullness of food, and abundance of idleness. Neither did she strengthen the hand of the poor and needy. And they were haughty and committed abominations before me. Flavius Josephus, the 1st century Jewish historian, tells us, "There are still the remainders of that divine fire, and the traces of the 5 cities are still to be seen." Popular thought has it that the cities were later covered by the waters of the Dead Sea, but if Josephus could see the cities in his day, then we should be able to view them also, as the water level has, if anything, receded since his time. And the border of the Canaanites was from Sidon as you go toward Gerar as far as Gaza, then as you go toward Sodom, Gomorrah, Admah, and Zeboim, as far as Lasha. The biblical description tells us the cities were spread out, forming a line along the Canaanite border, not grouped together in one area, as some may think. Driving along the coastal highway of the Dead Sea in Israel, one can soon see peculiar formations that are of a lighter color than the surrounding terrain. These are the ashen cities, destroyed by the wrath of God. These cities were consumed by intense flames, a supernatural heat that was directed by the hand of God. Today there is ash that is of lighter color than the surrounding mountains and terrain. As mentioned in the Bible, this is a desolate area where nothing grows. Inspecting the formations closely, one can see structures containing man-made elements, such as 90-degree angles. Even though the buildings were consumed by the fire, the remaining ash in these cities is comprised of a heavier material due to the inclusion of brimstone or sulfur, and still retains some of the original shapes of man-made structures. This stunning structure stands out as a singular formation with 4 sides, surrounded by a deep moat. We move in closer to inspect the unusual features evident on the side of the formation. On the side of the structure, this swirling pattern is different from any type of sedimentary rock or soil that would normally contain horizontal, even layers. These swirling designs were also seen in other ashen formations in the cities. This is evidence of extreme heat, up to 6,000 degrees Fahrenheit, where thermal ionization occurs, when the electrons repel and attract, forming these unusual, swirling designs.
So I mean, at this point, everything really becomes questionable. The Grand Canyon, Sedona in Arizona, which is known for having this very mystical energy, and these formations that kind of debunk any type of erosion argument. A recent viewer made this comment about writing on stone in Provincial Park in Canada. It really does look like a bunch of melted structures to me. And you really just see these types of structures all around the world. It's very difficult for people to realize that we have been fed lies almost our entire lifetime from the education system on history and geology that it almost creates cognitive dissonance even to entertain these ideas. It's so unbelievable to come to the conclusion that everything we ever knew is a lie. They tell us that these mountains take millions of years to form through erosion or volcanic activity. They teach us this as small children so that we never question it growing up. It's one of the most fundamental basic questions that we ask. Where do mountains come from? If only we knew that these are part of an old world advanced civilization, so advanced that it is the foundation of everything we know today. They possessed advanced technology and learned to take control of aether energy and use this freely to operate their society. The oldest buildings are the most massive, and you can see in many cases where later civilizations begin to build upon older foundations. There are situations where part of the building is literally melting and or sinking into the ground. Some type of event happened and wiped this advanced civilization out. It's said that these architectures around the world were positioned as a motherboard in order to take control of this realm's natural ley lines and to exchange the energy between buildings. This could have led to some type of burnout situation, or maybe the entire system overloaded and caused a melting process, completely dissolving some locations and petrifying others. Many of these landforms are also the remainder of massive trees that once roamed this earth, where this advanced civilization lived in harmony with nature. These massive trees also contributed to the creation of many of these landforms after the great cataclysmic event. It's all around us, hidden in plain sight. We just haven't had the eyes to question these formations. It's all been kept secret by the founders of the world who inherited everything from the old world. This meltdown could have caused some type of plasma apocalypse in which serpent-like plasma formations in the sky came down and started melting this old world. We see this idea of fire from the sky in many legends. Is the dragon another reference for this phenomena? With this fire breathing in the sky, it too being a serpent symbol. There's also the consideration that this happened through multiple events, one event being acid rain, and or the sun became too hot to handle, in which ancient man had to retreat underground in order to survive. This contributed to multiple stages of melting in which these buildings would melt, harden, and then be melted again through a variety of different stages. There's also this concept of advanced energy weapons in the past. Is it possible that someone in the old world took advantage of an ancient weapon in order to wipe out certain enemies? Something powerful such as the Ark of the Covenant that possessed a great source of energy. This is the huge mystery that's been kept from us. For if we knew that there was an old civilization just a couple hundred years ago that possessed advanced technology, and that time and time again there have been several cataclysms, as referenced by Plato, then we wouldn't be able to fall into the slavery of the new world as easily, as it becomes obvious this is what the new rulers had planned for us. We really appreciate all the support, and if you guys have any suggestions, please leave them in the comments. And like always, all we can hope is that our minds may be unveiled.
Let go of everything you think to be true. Relax the mind and ask the question, do I truly understand what this reality is?